Well, welcome to our Research Like a Pro question and answer series. And today we're going to talk about using AI to update an existing locality guide. So here's the question to ponder. I have an old locality guide. How can AI help me update it? And you may not have one as old as me, but I started doing locality guides when I started accreditation in 2015. So 10 years ago. And I think our genealogy world has had a few updates since then. And I'm pretty sure my locality guides from that era need some updating. So first of all, let's just chat for a minute about what is the purpose of a locality guide. These take a lot of time to create sometimes. They can take hours and hours, but so important for our research. So key to our research and making progress on our brick walls is learning about the locality, history and geography. And then our locality guide also gives us quick links available for research planning and conducting research. And we are hoping we're going to find new resources we didn't know about. And every time I've done one, that's exactly what has happened. But what might need to be updated? Well, we all know that web pages can break, and sometimes a library or repository will just completely redo their website, and then things don't go to the right place. There also might be a lot of new record collections available online, and we certainly have seen that in the last several years. Also, repositories change their information. Maybe they're not open as often as they were, or they've moved. And so that type of a detail would be helpful to have in your guide updated. And record access could change. There are situations where you could access birth certificates that were just 100 years old, and maybe now they have to be 125 years old. And so it's good to just do a revamp of our locality guides occasionally, and AI can help us in this. So AI can help us, oh, whoops, I put the wrong word there, upload an existing research locality guide, pretend that's locality guide, and prompt AI to review it. And so we could say something like, look at the attached locality guide for Georgia and make suggestions about what could be updated and check links to see if they are still valid. And so what I did was I took my old Georgia locality guide, which I had actually started in 2015, created it in 2015 to about 2017. But you can see at the top here that I actually updated it last year, July of 2024. And so I knew it wasn't totally out of date, but even in a year, things can get outdated. And I don't know how much I actually updated in July of 2024. I didn't really make a note. I didn't check all the links, I don't think. I believe I just added some things. So yeah, I think this needs to have a revamp or needs to have somebody or something like AI take a look. So I decided to do a fun little experiment and have all the different chatbots look at that exact same guide with the same prompt. So I started with ChatGPT 5 and it said I spot several spots where URLs, names, and scope can be tightened up or modernized. And so one of the things that I did with this experiment was just to go look at some of the specific things it pulled out to see if I believed it or not. Because with AI, we always want to verify. And so it right away found that the Digital Library of Georgia had an old link and that I should correct that link. And sure enough, I went to my old guide and clicked on it, and it said it's no longer available. Links to some sources remain below. So I could have gotten to what I wanted here, but it wasn't actually the right version. I would like to have that updated, and here's what the correct version looked like. And so ChatGPT really quickly helped me see what I needed to do there. Now, I went through several different things, and at the very bottom of this ChatGPT said, if you want, I can roll these into a clean, updated master file with corrected links and a mini last check date stamp in your preferred format, in Word or Markdown. And so I said, okay, do that. And it actually took a while. It probably thought for 6 or 7 minutes. And then it did give me the updated guide that I asked it to give it to me. I had it in both Markdown Markdown and Word. Here's the Word document, and it had pretty much the same format of the table of contents. What I noticed was it actually had a much cleaner view of things. I had done bullet points, but when I looked at mine was just a little messy the way I'd formatted it. And I had also had a lot of editorializing on the record collections, which sometimes I liked and sometimes I thought really did clutter up my guide. So ChatGPT streamlined it. It took out all my editorial notes. So I think I would probably requery it and say, just summarize my editorial notes. Don't just delete them, because I had put in some specifics about the information that I wanted to remember. And I did appreciate the updating of the links. So that was really great. And I liked how it actually had all the links, spelled out here. So I could make those live by just, clicking after those, making those go live and do a quick check without having to go myself and look at everything. So did this save me time? Maybe, maybe not, but it was a helper to take a look. So Claude 4.0 Sonnet, I used the extended reasoning model and asked the exact same prompt. You can see my locality guide right here uploaded. And it said, I'll review it and check the validity of key links. And let's start by testing some of the primary resources. And it told me that it does need some important corrections and additions. And so it gave me some working links confirmed, and then it gave me some new updates and additions, which this was an interesting one that ChatGPT had not picked up on. This often happens with AI. They all will get different things. And it pulled up this whole series of Black-owned Georgia newspapers that I had not, didn't know about. It was a recently digitized collection, and it comes from a blog where it's talking all about it. You can see the date was just August 26, 2025. And so I was able to add that to my guide and have something brand new that Claude found for me. Now, when I went to Gemini, I queried the 2.5 Flash model, and it said the guide is well researched, some links are no longer active, and some information could be expanded. So you're seeing, I hope, through this that the AI all approached it a little bit differently and gave me some suggestions. So Gemini really wanted to help with my language. It thought some of my phrases were a little outdated and could be updated. So sometimes I had said digitized by the Genealogical Society of Utah, and that could all be changed to family search. So yeah, that's right. And it didn't really like the way I had mixed citations and descriptions. Thought maybe I could do that a little bit better, which is valid. So one thing that it did find was a source that no longer is available in the format that I had. It said this website is no longer active. The book, however, is a resource and can be found. So here I had a link to this Georgia Place Names by Kenneth Krakow. But I was able to really quickly find the new link. And so interestingly, Gemini didn't go find it for me. However, just doing a Google search for it, I found the new website and just replaced that. So, sometimes it'll go find things for you, not always. So we always have to be the human that's evaluating. But it did give me a quick look, said, okay, go check this out because this isn't there anymore. And then it did a little bit of a section by section suggestions. And so it thought I should reword how I was writing some of the things about the quick facts, which is fine. I don't feel bad about being corrected by AI. And it's true that there are many more things available now on Family Search and Ancestry, not just at the archives in the Family History Library. So Perplexity. I was really curious to see what Perplexity would do with this, because Perplexity has the deep research and typically does really well with locality guides. You can see it went to a lot of sources, had 61 sources that went and checked. And so it basically confirmed a lot of things for me, saying several key resources are still active and current. And it gave me some information on the repositories that the other ones didn't do as much with. So it went and gave me updated information that I had put in here for different repositories and gave me new links because some of these had actually changed some of their websites or their hours. So, for instance, the National Archives at Atlanta now operates by appointment only. And so I went and checked that, and sure enough, it says it's by appointment only. I got the new link to the Ellen Payne Odom Genealogical Library. So that worked really well. Perplexity came up with a lot of good suggestions. And, I think you probably saw that they all had something valuable to help me with. But after going through the exercise, what are my final tips and takeaways? Because I had to weigh, was it time consuming, just as time consuming to have AI do that and then to go fact check, or for me just to go through my guide and click on things and fact check myself, maybe refreshing my mind and my memory about what I had. So what I discovered was each AI model did approach it differently. And, I like some of the results better than others. Most did a pretty good job pointing out URLs that no longer worked and did give me correct URLs. I didn't see anything in my just spotty fact checking that was just blatantly inaccurate. And after I had done this little exercise, I thought it would be fun to experiment with some different prompts. So, like with the ChatGPT, when it redid my whole guide, I would like to go back and experiment with it and say, just summarize some of these sections. We can tell it to do whatever we want. And then, of course, we verify everything. But I think the real value in maybe having AI take a look at our guides that are getting old, and especially with the models that do a good job of searching the internet right now, very current, they can go out and pull together some things that we just didn't know were out there. There are new collections, or find some of those old links, clean things up. Maybe our guide has, we've used a few different fonts, or maybe it's kind of messy the way we've cut and pasted things in, and we could put the whole thing in AI and ask it to clean it up and format it and make it look better. So there's so many things we can do to have AI help us, but in reality, it's our guide, and we want to make sure we know what's in it and that we have verified whatever we have in there. So hopefully that gives you some ideas about your locality guides, whether you are creating a brand new one or whether you're going back and updating one that you did several years ago. So good luck with those, and thank you.